Hello, my name is Laura Ann Grammer. I work with Lawrence Public Schools. I'm an autism behavior consultant. I work primarily with middle school and high school age students. During this time of continuous learning, your student may be having an increase in angry and overwhelmed feelings. Therefore, today I want to share with you some basics about anger management. As the adult who's there to help or guide your student through a process of managing difficult emotions like anger, frustration, or just being overwhelmed, there are different steps and strategies that you can use. It's important to make sure that you are under control of your emotions. You need to make sure that you are being constructive in your approach, not destructive. Second, identify triggers. What is causing them to react with anger? Possible triggers can be the actions of others, actions that often facilitate feelings of being disrespected, rushed, or controlled, actions that your student is concerned are going to be distracting to them. Other specific words or phrases that may immediately elicit a stress response. Sometimes it can just be the word no. It can be other words or phrases that have preconceived meanings for your student. It's often those phrases we use to kind of put our children off when we don't know the answer or we need to buy ourselves a little time, like maybe or in a minute. But sometimes our students who struggle with their emotions have a hard time waiting for that, and it immediately feels like a no, even when it's not a no. Or maybe it is a no, and they've learned that when mom says maybe, it really means no. So sometimes those things can immediately cause a stress reaction. It could be specific people. It could be a sibling that they assume their sibling is going to cause them a problem, maybe, again, distract them. Or if your student is online with their class or a peer, maybe they're afraid their sibling's going to embarrass them, intentionally mess with them. They might assume their sibling's going to start a video game or play with the toy that they were getting ready to play with as soon as they were done with their work, and they immediately get angry when their sibling gets near that item. Once the trigger is identified, you can make a plan. Guide them in naming the problem caused by the trigger. Help them identify their options. Once they have identified their options, then you can prompt them to consider the consequences or results for each option. The image on your screen is a tool from the Zones of Regulation, which is one of the social skills programs we use in our district. When helping them come up with a plan, you may need to help them size up the problem. We call this the size of the problem. On a 5-point scale, 1 being minimal to 5 being a catastrophic emergency. Again, the image on your screen is from the Zones of Regulation. A 1 is a very small problem, like losing a game or running out of your favorite soda or snack, a paper cut. 2 is a little problem, spilling something, making a mistake on homework. It might be embarrassing or cause disappointment, but it's easily fixed. 3 is a medium problem, having an accident that requires a Band-Aid, breaking something that can be replaced. 4 is a big problem, needing to go to the hospital for a broken bone, breaking something expensive that's not easily replaced. Then there's a 5. A 5 is a catastrophic emergency. It's a big deal, like a tornado, a fire, serious danger, serious injury. That often causes enraged, horrified, hysterical, or angry reactions. The thing with a lot of our students who struggle with their emotions is the size of the problem and the size of the reaction don't match. Oftentimes, a 1, 2, or 3 problem will have a 4 or 5 reaction. So helping them identify the size of the problem can help them put into perspective a more appropriate response, which can help them in planning. You aren't offering to solve their problem for them. Our goal is to give them the tools that they need to navigate the things that cause them to get angry on their own. We want them to become more independent in solving their own problems in a reasonable and respectful way. When your student is actively angry and struggling with an inappropriate response or having big behaviors, there are relaxation or calming activities you can prompt them to do, or you can do with them. These are the things you will most likely need to do before you can jump in and identify the trigger or make a plan. Calming activities are things like deep breathing or counting. You may want to pair a visual with those activities. For example, Your student could use a visual of six-sided breathing, where they take a deep breath in, they hold it, they breathe out, they breathe in, they hold it, they breathe out. And they can trace, if they have a visual, whether it's printed out or on a computer or a tablet, they can trace it as they do it. Another one is called lazy 8 breathing. Also, these are both from the zones of regulation. With lazy 8 breathing, they can just very easily do a figure 8 on their leg, on the table, in the carpet. If you want to put some sand or sugar or flour in a bowl, if they like touching things, they have a tactile sensory need, allowing them to have maybe a material for them to do a lazy 8 in as they take deep breaths and breathe it out. Other activities that your student might enjoy doing to help them calm down is taking a walk, riding their skateboard, riding their bike for a few minutes, bouncing a basketball. This is a strategy where we're basically changing the activity, we're changing the environment, we're getting out of the setting where we're upset to calm down, so we're not focused on whatever it is that's upsetting us in that setting. So removing ourselves is often helpful, and doing something to remove ourselves that we enjoy to help us calm down so that we can then come back to it in a more reasonable mindset is really helpful. So taking a walk, listening to music, all those things that we do as adults when we're upset and frustrated, we need to make sure we allow for our children to do as well. It's not always a sign of disrespect. They may honestly be trying to gain control of themselves, although they don't always do it in the most graceful ways. And sometimes as adults, we don't either. Make sure that when you're talking with your child, your student, that you're utilizing perspective taking and active listening when supporting them through their anger. When you're first engaging with them, saying, I see that you're upset, or you look really overwhelmed right now. And after they can tell you what's going on in the best way they know how in that moment, rephrasing it with active listening, saying, it sounds like you are telling me that you are angry because, and through this process, it should help to reduce the anger, the frustration that they're feeling. I call it breaking down that angry wall. When we get angry, that the big boundaries fly up around us to protect us from whatever is upsetting us. And as the person there trying to help them, guide them, we need to break that wall down a little bit. And the way to do that is through communication and giving them a sense of being heard and understood, and that you're willing to listen and you want to understand, and that you're there to help them fix their problem. And again, we're not fixing their problem for them. We're not making it all better. We are helping them navigate it so they can solve their own problems in an appropriate and responsible and respectful way. So in wrapping this all up, there are 4 key things I hope you take away from this video. Identifying triggers, using calming strategies, to engage in perspective taking and active listening, and to make a plan. Thank you for your time, and I hope that this was helpful.